Guys, over the last 10 years, the last decade, there has been tens of millions of people who have crossed our northern border and our southern border illegally into the United States. Many have been processed through and given paperwork and court dates that are 5, 6 years or more away. So those are considered legal immigrants in the United States, and they are given free medical care, housing, prepaid debit cards, cell phones. But the actual number of people who have came through is completely unknown. Estimates are 40 million people here in the United States right now are non-citizens.
How dare you!
40 million plus are non-citizens. However, no one actually knows the real number because there's been so many processed through. They've been brought through on airplanes and flown in. Actually go to another country and pick these people up and by a plane load and bring those people in. They've been processed through the border checkpoints and is given paperwork and a court date set for 4, 5, 6 years away. They're given prepaid debit cards. They're given cell phones. They're given housing, medical, pretty much everything they need and want is handed over to these people. While the citizens, the native population, are being completely ignored and their voices completely unheard, their welfare completely uncared about because they don't care what happens to the native population. If you want to know what's going to happen in the United States of America, just look at what's happening in the UK, in Britain right now, the riots and the looting. And it's going to be much worse here in the United States, in my opinion. Let's look at this article here from the New York Post. Riots in Britain should be warning to U.S. If one of your allies starts to fall apart, you should notice it and learn why. Our government, our leaders, are too stupid to notice anything, to be honest about it, on both sides of the political spectrum, the Republicans and the Democrats. This past week, Great Britain has been racked with riots and disorder. In Northern Ireland, Protestants and Catholics even came out to riot alongside each other for once. What has gone on has huge lessons for America, and our politicians should take note, but they won't. The disorder in Britain began after 3 girls, aged 6, 7, and 9, were stabbed to death as they took part in a Taylor Swift-themed dance party. In the immediate aftermath, locals in Southport were shocked, angry, and looking for someone to blame. In the UK, as in America, the authorities do not just release information about suspects and culprits, they manage their release. In Britain, as in America, if there is believed to be a racial component to a crime, the authorities are even more careful about what information comes out. And to interpret that, what that means is that if the attacker, if the criminal isn't white, they try to keep it hush-hush because they don't want it to look bad on that part of the population. That's the simple facts of the matter. A rumor went around that the attacker was a Muslim who had only arrived recently with one of the illegal boatloads of migrants who keep pouring into southern Britain. In fact, although there have been plenty of crime and terrorism committed by illegals, it was not such a case. This time, the person who carried out this appalling crime was the 17-year-old son of Rwandan migrants. His motive is not yet known, probably because he's a psycho-lunatic murderer. That could be a motive for going in and stabbing 3 children to death. In the UK, perhaps even more than in America, there is great dislike of the rule-breaking illegal migration. The sight of mainly young men paying people, smugglers, to bring them across the English Canal illegally is appalling. Why should you pay a parking ticket when people get away with this? And they get away with much, much more than just being brought into the country. But what they're saying here is, if these people can come and break the law, then why can't I? Are they any better than I am? And there are people saying, no, so I'll do what I want to also, because these people aren't being charged for breaking the law and criminal activities, so why should I obey the law? So you have a complete breakdown there. The authorities housed illegals in hotels, sound familiar, and in short, absolutely nothing is done to punish people for breaking the law by breaking into the country or doing anything else, actually. At the same time, legal migration has gone to a historic high. It actually should be invasion, illegal invasion, because our government is allowing this to happen, just like in Britain, the UK. At the same time, legal migration has gone to a historic high. The conservative government that came into office in 2010, promising to bring legal net migration down to under 100,000 a year, left office earlier this year with legal migration at over 700,000 in 1 year. And Britain is a smaller country than the United States is, obviously. Even though the government has created new jobs since the crash of 2008, the vast majority of these jobs, fully 3/4, have gone to foreign-born workers. In other words, the government has tried to grow the economic pie, but it didn't even bother to share it with people actually born and already living in the country, because they don't care about the native population, just like here in the United States. That is obvious. Yet a similar dynamic is at play here in the U.S., not just with the millions of illegal migrants, illegal invaders, flooding across the southern border and undercutting American workers in the black market, but also in the overall job stats. As a share of the U.S. workforce, foreign-born workers have grown rapidly in the last 4 years. They represented 18.6% of the total U.S. workforce last year, and while that could work, it doesn't if the number of Americans working actually falls. So all the new jobs created are going to foreigners, people out of here, people who are non-citizens, these illegal invaders, because they are our replacements. That is obvious. Job creation in the Biden-Harris era has gone entirely to foreign-born workers, while the number of U.S.-born workers has not returned to pre-COVID levels. As the UK has shown, you can cover over some problems some of the time. You can even cover over the mass, appalling cases of crime, terrorism, and disorder. But at some point, the bubble burst, and nobody knows what will cause it. In times of economic boom, you can cover over a whole range of discontents. At times of economic challenge, you cannot. Mass, legal, and illegal migration, foreign invasion, is always a challenge to the social structure of a country. But combine that change with zero benefit to the people born in the country whose forebears contributed to the country, well, that's a recipe for disaster. Anyone who wants to see where America could head without a course correction can look at Britain and see. And it's going to get much, much worse than what we're seeing in the UK here in the United States, especially in urban areas. This over here, you can see here, UK riots plunge country in the worst unrest in years. Prime Minister vows to apply full force of the law, meaning punish the people for speaking up, punish the people for having peaceful protest, punish the people for not just accepting an agreement what the government wants to do and accepting their own demise. So that they're going to go after, they bring in millions of people, and then when people get upset about it, they punish the people getting upset about it and still bring in more millions of people. UK Police Commissioner threatens to extradite, jail U.S. citizens over online post. We'll come after you. And that is because they're coming after people who are talking about doing things like I'm doing right here in this video. That's what he's talking about. He was sending his goons to come after me for not praising the government's immigration policies. Like Michael Yon said in a recent video that I watched, civil war is coming, and it's going to be a war between citizens and non-citizens. That is where it's heading. That is a civil war that's going to happen in the United States. It's going to be between citizens, non-citizens, and I'm sure that some citizens will support the non-citizens and will be on the non-citizens' side in this battle that is coming. It's going to be a rough ride, guys. Get ready, get prepared, get what you need now, because you might not be able to get it later. And this is fixing to break loose, I think, most likely after the November presidential selection happens. We want to see things escalate dramatically. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you have a comment, leave it in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. I'm the Creekmore, and I'll see you all in the next video, hopefully.